if you look down that list, it's Titleist is going, Callaway is going. I think you guys saw Cobra, Puma, and Ping, and
Strixon. I saw.
The one name I did not see is TaylorMade, which conveys the message that it is the one large golf company that does not like pissing money away.
Tony, how you living? This is No Putts Given. Tony Covey, Chris Nickel, GolfSpy T, GolfSpy C. There's the particulars and the information. Tony, what's a Festool?
Festool.
It sounds.
Boy, it's all in the pronunciation, isn't it?
It sounds like something I'd see my doctor for.
I've got a serious Festool situation going on.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Bought a track saw. And then I used the track saw.
What does a track saw do? I'm not familiar with you and your handyman skills.
It's a super simple way of making dead straight cuts in just about anything.
Okay.
Like sort of do what a circular saw can do a good bit, not everything. Somebody's going to complain and tell me I'm an idiot. You can do a good bit of what you can do with a table saw.
Okay.
It's fun.
All right.
I make things now. I've taken the woodworking from the theoretical to the practicing.
I applaud your efforts because not my skill set right there.
Oh my, well,
sure.
that's why you learn. Like golf is not my skill set, so I decided to take up something else.
So I mean, which is interesting, right? Because we're getting into that time of season. You're in upstate New York. I'm in Colorado, and
yeah, I know it's November here, so it's only like 68 today.
Is it really?
It is, yeah. It was 70 over the weekend. It's insane. What? Yeah. Nonsense. We don't have a closing date. We just got an email from the owner. He's like, yeah, it looks like it might get cold. We'll see. They're still mowing the greens.
Seriously.
Huh.
A lot of people played yesterday. Got me thinking a little bit about, we're kind of getting toward that time where maybe you do put the golf clubs away. You do pick up the table saw or the
just pick it up and
just pick up. Maybe you're into quilting. Maybe you have other, winter hobbies. But before you put your
my knitting spy
away,
coming in February.
Yeah, I mean, before you do that, I wanted to talk through what are some tips, tricks, things that all golfers can kind of benefit from to, kind of winterize, if you will, things that everybody should probably do as we head into this part of the season. And it doesn't necessarily exclude people, kind of south of the Mason-Dixon line. I guess it's a different situation if you are in a place where you can play year round. But for most of us, or a lot of us, there is an off season. We can't post to our USGA indexes after, I think we're November 14th here or 15th. I don't know when you guys
typically around November 1st. I don't know.
And then it opens up again, somewhere between March 1 and April 1. But point being, if there is an off season, we're getting toward it. There are things that we should probably do or might want to look at with our golf gear. And then we're also going to talk about what are we most excited for or maybe most looking forward to in 2023 from an equipment standpoint. We have a couple trips coming up. One you're going to be excited about. One I know you're not going to be excited about that we can kind of chat through. But let's start with winterizing our golf gear. I got like a top 5 here, but I want to see what's your number one, Tony. What's the first thing you're going to do?
The only absolute must do, and absolute. We're going to use that loosely here, but I think you got to clean them if you don't do that already. And there's probably no harm. Maybe your wedges will rust a little bit if you don't clean them up before you put them away. But for me, it's like I'll put them away usually about this time, if not sooner, and then start getting into February, March, and I'm like, I'm going to go take a lesson, start getting ready for the season.
Yep.
And I'll pull into the beautiful indoor studio and take my usually like a wedge out of the bag, and it's absolutely coated with and I'm like, oh,
it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
Then, my coach is looking at me like, you need gloves before
clean
you
them.
Come here.
That was number 4 on my list, Tony. Clean them.
Gotta clean them.
A lot of this stuff is obvious and simple. Maybe a couple things aren't. as obvious and simple, but clean your clubs.
Clean your
I
clubs.
think that's one.
That to me is like the only gotta do at the end of the season rather than at some point before the next season starts.
Where do you store your clubs in the off season? So like now, I get it. It was 68 and sunny, whatever. I know upstate New York, it's going to get cold and nasty, and for a prolonged period. Where do you store your clubs?
Basement.
Basement. Do not store them in your cars, people, or in
I
a
thought you were
cold
going to say,
garage.
do not store them in your basement.
Do not store them in your basement.
Wrong.
Store them in the same bedroom in which you sleep.
That's right.
So you can keep a good eye on them.
Put your wife in the guest room for the winter.
Have you ever considered that, Tony?
There were when she had COVID, she slept in the other room. It was kind of nice
for her.
Yeah, for her.
Yeah,
she did not have to tolerate my, and I quote here, stupid snoring face. So,
I'm sure you have one of those, but so don't store them in a. I mean, why is cold bad in general? Don't put them in a cold garage. Don't leave them in the trunk of your car. What does cold potentially do to
it's all
equipment?
temperature extremes, right? You're just kind of that expanding and shrinking depending on the conditions, and you risk kind of messing up your epoxy a little bit, making it brittle, subject to cracking, things like that. So
it's generally not good for golf grips. Not that it
grips,
will degrade them really, really fast or something like that, but they do break down, right? These things are made of materials that aren't meant to last forever, and if you want them to last a little bit longer, we had a whole study we did right on cold versus hot golf balls, and not that you're going to take a golf ball right from the trunk of your car and go play it, but a lot of people will that first time.
Take it right out of the freezer to the golf course. That would be,
and it's going to go nowhere.
That'd be do something. That'd be fun to, hey, hit this, try this new ball on the first tee that I took out of my freezer half an hour ago, stored in a cooler on the way here. Yeah. Anyway,
we could trick people. What's the nastiest thing you've ever found in a golf bag at the end of the year? Because I think one thing you absolutely should do is you forget the things you leave in a golf bag. You have an extra jacket, you throw in a ham sandwich, maybe something left over from the hibachi. And
I've definitely found some bananas that didn't age well. But I think kind of the grossest thing, and this wasn't even an end of the season type of thing. So I want to say it was probably came from, there's so many stories that start with, I went to the Tour Edge event several years ago. So, yeah. Well, I would assume these got picked up at the Tour Edge event. They could have come from anywhere at the PGA show, but they were like biodegradable golf tees.
Oh.
Good idea. Supposed to be, environmentally sustainable. And I had them in my office forever. I'm like, why am I just, why are they just sitting here? Why don't I take them out on the golf course? And they break after one hit. So, like, whatever. Why don't I just take them out and let them sustain the environment rather than take up space in my office?
Do their thing, yeah.
And so it was like a small box of maybe 20 tees and put them in my golf bag and whatever. But it turns out that, they sort of melt when they get wet. Like they
biodegrade.
That is rapidly. So this is how they sustain this. Like they just sort of disintegrate more or less. And I had them in my golf bag, and we just got hit like a couple 2-3 rounds straight where we just absolutely just got hammered with rain. So I'm doing this thing where I'm like, all right, well, everything's soaking wet. I got to take everything out of this bag, dry it out, whatever. And I reach into the pocket where the tees are, and it's just like this ball of ooze, and it's stuck to everything. And then it's like stuck to my hand. And I'm like, what is this? Oh, yeah. So I had to like peel it off. There's still remnants like stuck to the inside of my golf bag that aren't going to come out. So yeah, that was nasty. That was really, really nasty.
So people, clean out your golf bag. I guarantee you're going to find something in there that either you thought was missing and forgot, you kept looking for it.
Ham sandwich.
Ham sandwich. You're going to be pleasantly surprised. Like, oh, that's where ham sandwich was, or $20 bill. Or it's going to be so god-awful nasty ham sandwich that you're like, oh, That's disgusting. In fact, I'm going to give away a Japanese head cover.
Did you have a ham sandwich head cover from Japan?
I'm going to find one. I got something. I'm sure I got something. Here's one.
What's it say? I didn't even.
I don't know.
Like,
I
this
have
is
no
blue.
idea.
It had some black writing on it.
But I'm going to give away a head cover to the best story. Post your story. Something you found
Quick comment with something nasty, like
something nasty you found in your golf bag when you're cleaning it out, because I want to hear this. I want to see what we got. When this one I'm torn on, Tony. Should I right now at the end of the year, should I replace my grips now or should I wait till spring? If I'm going to put them away, do I do that now or do I wait until February, March? Because here's why I'm torn. You do it now. You're already in that mode. You're thinking, boom, it's done. It's ready to go for the spring. I like that part of it. I really do. Because then it's done, right? You show up in the spring, you kind of probably forgot you did. You're like, oh, my grips are new. That's awesome. The downside is then they just sit there. And maybe, like, is that bad? And then, but if I wait till the spring, then I'm probably going to procrastinate longer from there, and I may not do it then because, like, oh, man, I want to go play and this, and I'm not going to, Regrip now or in the spring, Tony?
This is one. So this is, like I said, one of the ones that could go either way. Do any time from now until the spring.
Yep.
The argument for now is it's done, and you don't risk not having it done.
Yeah.
Especially true, like if you have, for example, the stock PXG black uber slick, terrible, worst grips ever made on your clubs, then maybe you want to get rid of those ASAP.
Never a bad time to regrip those.
So that's the argument for doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the argument for waiting is like, hey, maybe I'm going to get deep into winter and be like, you know what, I don't even want these clubs anymore. I'm going to get something new. Sure. I don't need these. And, you just put in, grips, what, $10, $12 each for what we play anyway. Like,
yeah.
You don't want to put that on a club that somebody else is going to play next year. You're not re-gripping for strangers. It's not a charity.
It's not a charitable event. And that kind of leads to a different question too, which is like, same kind of thing. If I'm looking at replacing a club, I would bet everybody has in their bag probably at least one club,
14
clubs that they should switch out. They're probably like, if you go to your bag right now and you're looking there, there's probably at least one club in there that from a performance standpoint needs to be replaced. And some people might want to do that now. Again, some people might want to wait till the spring, but what do you think about that? Is there a club in your bag that you would say needs to be replaced right now today?
Today, who knows? No,
13.
Yeah, like I said, all of my stuff is relatively new. The one that I'm always going to go to, though, is the wedge. So, if you sat down at the end of last season and said, you know what, I'm not going to replace my wedges, I think I got at least another season out of it. If you didn't replace your wedges at the end of last season, you should definitely replace them now. That's really the one club where, we talk about with a new driver when they come out. Hey, the Callaway released a new driver this week. Does not make your old driver perform poorly. It doesn't change the performance attributes. This new thing coming out. Right. But the thing with your wedge, like your driver is the same as when you bought it. Your wedge is not. Those groups where you are, it's slowly degrading over time, and so that's a case where like if you're 2 years deep in wedges, Titleist magic number is 75. And again, that's sort of like where you've reached the point where you've lost enough spin that it really matters, but you're losing spin every time you go out. So if you if you didn't replace your wedges last year, I would say that's where I would look.
Yeah, wedges are on a shot clock, right?
Sure.
And so if 2022 this year you didn't have new wedges in the bag, then 2023 probably should. If you did this year, then maybe assess that. Okay, how much did you actually play? Maybe for me, I'm more apt to replace 56 and 60 more frequently than
tour player move right there.
That's about the only thing. But yeah, gap wedge,
Definitely
that can
replace the
probably
ham
go.
sandwich.
Definitely replace the ham sandwich. Probably should. Are other clubs on a shot clock though? I mean, like putter. Okay, no. I mean, you can use putter from the decades, whatever. Like
Once you
you're
throw
not
it so
necessarily.
many times, it's going to break
Yeah, it's
eventually.
gonna if it doesn't float. That's about the only time you're gonna see a performance situation there. Maybe need a new grip or something like that. But like irons, metalwoods, are they on a shot clock at all?
Metalwood's not so much. I mean,
I've
it's
seen
one of
some
those
clubs
things.
get flat. Like when you look at when you look at the side view, right? If we were to do kind of a side view of a driver, you have bulge and roll, right? It's not perfectly straight, but I've actually seen some that look like they've lost that
That
curvature
happens.
over
That
time.
happens. I mean, it's not doesn't happen as much as it used to. And that's why, for example, we see Mizuno talks about its beta titanium, Titleist with its ATI. It's all these newer titanium alloys that are more resilient. That's a good
Hmm.
bit of what that's about, is so that they don't deform over time. If you got an old driver and you've been pounding on it for 8, 10 years, I would say you probably do anyway. But yeah, there's
Right.
a chance that you have flattened some things out a little bit. Might make a better hammer than a driver at this point.
Yeah.
Not the
But
hammer.
if you're getting the performance out of it that you want, if you got a driver in the last 3 to 5 years, from a performance standpoint, from a metal, degradation standpoint, nothing there to worry about.
No urgency. No
Okay.
urgency.
What about
Wedges.
irons? Wedges for sure. Metal woods likely not, right? But irons are kind of this weird one to me that are kind of in the middle because like a wedge, it has grooves, right? You have contact, similar type of situations there, but to me it feels like you're not going to wear out a set of irons anytime real soon unless you are hitting hundreds and thousands of balls every year.
Well, what I try and do too to prolong the life of my irons is really spread out impact across the face, so that I'm
including
not I'm
including the
not wearing. Yeah,
non-grooved
yeah.
areas.
You want to spread that out as much as possible. You don't want to wear any single point of the face. That's just limiting the lifespan of your product and ultimately going to cost you more money. So
Well,
why
right.
would you want to repeatedly hit the
You
center of the
paid
face?
for the whole club,
And
might as
that
well use
that's
it.
that's why I personally don't play blades. Is that I'm afraid that if I did, I would eventually just hit that sweet spot over and over and over again. And it's just
Gone.
not. I don't want to do that.
Gone.
I mean, there is a case to be made that, and it depends. Not all irons are made the same way. You have stamp grooves and you have these CNC milled grooves, particularly in scoring irons. When you get into set match pitching wedges and things like that, there is a case that those are going to wear like any other wedge will. And
Hmm.
so you may want to replace your pitching wedge, even if it's just going to the manufacturer and ordering a new one, assuming you can still get it.
Hmm.
But otherwise, the grooves on your long irons, you're not going to wear those out. Your mid irons, probably not. Scoring irons, again, as you said, enough time, you are going to get wear patterns in the face. But I mean, I've only seen one or two average golfers, recreational golfers, where I've seen prolonged wear in one spot, and it's either guys who have 15-year-old irons or
Right.
who go to the range and beat 100 balls every day, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
if that's
How
not
would
you,
no? And for most of us, it isn't. I would say irons definitely not. I mean, it's hard to wear that out. I think if you're a techie kind of person, a great thing to do with any of your clubs. And actually, I was working with a guy this weekend who's one of the top 10 NCAA Division One golfers in the country right now. I think he's up to fifth, maybe now he's eighth, something like that. But we were kind of talking through this, or looking through his bag, checking loft and lie, just to kind of get where he was because he had some kind of funky gaps in his bag, and um, he's playing a set of irons that were 4 or 5 years old. Driver, 2 years old. Hybrid, the Sim Max, loves it. But the point was, as he's like, should I replace this? Should I not? And I was like, well, let's talk about the performance part of it. Is it doing what you want it to? He's like, yeah, it's doing exactly what I wanted. Oh, he had a Ping G425 3-wood. And I said, okay, with your irons, where are you seeing some gaps? And basically, the whole point of the story was he didn't really know what the spin launch and performance properties of each club other than what he saw on the course, right? Where it's like, hey, my 6-iron, my 5-iron, there's not enough separation, whatever the case is. So anyway, he's going to go on to TrackMan and get numbers, do an average for each particular club using some of Scott Fawcett's decade kind of stuff where you establish a baseline average for each club. And then we'll be able to see over a month, 2 months, 3 months, like, okay, is there spin degradation? Is there something weird going on? Now, again, if you're way into the tech stuff, you got a launch monitor, you have those things, it might be worth doing something like that. Otherwise, your irons are probably fine.
Irons are probably fine.
Yeah.
Unless you need new irons.
Unless you need
new
irons.
irons.
Or want new irons, which
Want new irons.
you want new irons, go ahead. Okay. Do you my answer to this is yes. I'm going to be interested to see if you're a yes or a no. Do you, on your adjustable clubs, unscrew the heads and the shafts like you do when you travel?
In the winter?
Do you do that for the off season?
I don't think so. I mean, they come off because we do a bit of traveling from now until really the end of January. So we'll be in and out of airports a good bit of the off season. So they do come on and off, but for storage, no. I don't.
Yeah.
Just kind of throw everything in the bag and leave it.
Leave it there in the house,
move
in the
it to a different bag for travel.
Yeah.
That's
the one in your bedroom.
Yeah.
The one that's there.
The one's where my wife used to be. Yeah.
It's too bad. I feel bad for her. All right, let's switch gears here, little Tony. Speaking of travel, we are, like I said, we're going to be headed out as a staff here to Carlsbad in not very long, kind of first week December.
Carlsbad and also Pahonix.
And Phoenix, we're going to sit down with Ping and see a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff there. And then rumor has it might be a little Callaway event early in January.
I've heard something about that.
Heard something
the
about
Top Golf
that.
Callaway Golf Company.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to that. And Tony, your favorite event of the year. None other than the world's most famous virus factory and the place where dreams go to die. The PGA show in Orlando.
Convention.
We're back. We're going. Yeah. The industry, Tony. What do they say about the industry? The industry is there, and now.
So I mean, if you look down that list, it's Titleist is going, Callaway is going. I think I saw Cobra, Puma, and Ping, and
Strixon. I saw.
The one name I did not see is TaylorMade, which conveys the message that it is the one large golf company that does not like pissing money away.
All the other ones are good
Seem
with it?
to have a discretionary budget of, they could as well just take a wheelbarrow full of cash into the bathroom.
I mean,
systematically flush it. And
into the seven figures. We're talking millions.
Oh my God. Yes. Millions to take a staff down there, like transport them, put them up in hotels, pay for the booth, the floor space, etc. It's such a waste.
You don't have to tell anybody out there.
And they all know it. They all know it. That's
so why do it then? So why? This is a little off topic because it's not. I want to talk about things we're excited for in 2023, but why do it then? If everybody and their mom knows that it is, as you suggest, basically taking a 7-figure pile of cash and lighting it on fire, why do it? It feels like a tremendous waste.
Well, some companies still have contracts that they signed with the PGA show. Like, we will come for X number of years, sign it. We are now obligated. I think, certainly with COVID the last couple of years and some companies not going back last year, I think kind of cemented what they already knew is we don't need to be here. But there is still that. The line is always we're going to support the PGA of America. We're going to support. We're here to support the PGA of America. Well,
It's
How
a
about
lot of
not?
money.
I'm here to not waste money. I'm not here to throw money away. So kudos to TaylorMade, really. Just
Yeah,
being like, you know what?
not
But
worth
hey,
it.
I'm sure the racket and paddle showcase will be bigger than ever. So
I
we got
hope
that.
so. I hope so. I'm counting on I'm counting on that. But from an equipment standpoint, Tony, like I said, you know we've seen some of the new stuff that's coming out from some of the companies. Some of it we've seen behind the scenes. Some of it we're going to see firsthand in our hands. Give me a couple things that you are like on the seat of your or on the edge of your seat, excited for in 2023 from an equipment standpoint. Most excited.
Probably, and again, we've seen it. So if we draw that line between what we've seen and know is coming, and
Mm-hmm.
then what we haven't seen yet, but kind of like So
Mm-hmm.
what I've seen is it's going to be the pink stuff, the LST model in particular, and maybe because I have to be careful about how we talk about this, but Ping is talking about products in a way that I haven't heard Ping talk about products before, at least to this degree. So a
Mm-hmm.
little different focus than we've seen from Ping, I think.
I would
Right?
agree. I
Yeah.
think the
So
emphasis, the design engineering emphasis, as you look at their objectives and what they're trying to accomplish with different releases, it feels like there are different talking points around this one, and maybe you know not a reorganizing of how they do things at all, because I think that's one of the
and it's
staples
not
of them.
dramatically
But
different than what anybody else is doing by any stretch, but it's different for Ping. And so, you know,
mm-hmm.
what's going to be interesting is this, hey, is this fundamentally different than what they've done before, and is this going to show through in the performance in a way that is really eye opening, or is this sort of, and you never know with anybody which it really is, or is this also, well, like, we just kind of have to play the same game everybody else is playing. So I
Yeah,
don't know,
mm-hmm.
but it's intriguing.
Yeah, and I think as we kind of go through those big names, like I said, from the metalwood stance, obviously we know what Titleist is because TSR is already out there. Ping, like you said, G430. We've seen it overseas. We'll see it in hand. Be able to discuss more of the specifics around it and not super long, hopefully. Um, with Callaway and TaylorMade, here's what I'm interested in: is with TaylorMade, Stealth was, I think, and we talked about this, the best story for sure at the beginning of last year. That translated to sales early, but what you saw throughout the year was Callaway was kind of like the slow and steady kind of wins the race. Like they eventually just kept chipping away, but the knock on the story part of Callaway early on was it just doesn't feel new, right? Same name. There wasn't a new franchise. It
Yeah, I call
wasn't.
it it's Callaway's TSA problem. This shit again, and
Yeah.
that's sort of like how it's been. I felt, hey, the original Epic was great, and Rogue was a Rogue version 1, nice little departure from that. But then it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, here we go, AI jailbreak, more of the same, more of the same, more of the same, and I'm of two minds on that. One, it's to an extent Callaway not inventing something that doesn't exist, right? They're going like, no, this is our technology.
Right.
It works really well. We're evolving it, but we're not gonna come out with something radically different just to say that we have something different.
Sure.
So there is that piece of it. There's almost an integrity to that end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the other side of it is, again, this again. Like I
Right.
feel like I've seen this and I've seen it again. And oh, hey, congratulations on your use of different paint,
Right.
because I hadn't seen that shade before. I guess
Right.
this is a new color for you, but
Right.
ultimately not much radically different in the story or the products themselves. And it's one of those things for me. It just got to the point where it just wasn't interesting.
So
And
is
so
this an opportunity for Callaway to steal some of that limelight back? Where, to me, on one hand, you talk about TaylorMade. It's okay. Stealth, carbon, like again, that was a massive undertaking. You can't really, for a variety of reasons, go backward from that. There's going to be, I would think, some iteration, something else, from TaylorMade. We don't know exactly what that is or what that's going to look like, but is this an opportunity, assuming that TaylorMade kind of continues version 2 or whatever the next, 1.1 or whatever it is with that, is this an opportunity for Callaway to do exactly kind of what you're suggesting, which is, hey, here's our new something special, unique, different. This is what we've been working on.
Basically, since the original Epic is sort of kind of, that to me feels like the jump that needs to be made, because all of these iterative steps have just kind of been like, oh, yeah, whatever, TSA.
Mm-hmm.
So going in sight unseen, disregarding the early peak we got of the TaylorMade's new driver about this time last year.
Right.
Not knowing the stories and only kind of getting hints of what to come.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to ask me, which company do you think has the market advantage right now, or has the greatest market potential?
Mm-hmm.
It's Callaway, because I think with TaylorMade, like it's year 2 of whatever stealth is, whatever it becomes, and year 2 is typically, it's not where you see anything significantly different. It tends to be these little things, and I think we can safely assume we're going to hear that it's faster, because everything is always faster, especially in TaylorMade world. I am hearing that there's some talk about, hey, forgiveness is the word that I've heard. Forgiveness. So we'll see what becomes of that. But maybe it sounds to me like TaylorMade talking about forgiveness in a way that it hasn't previously. But again, nothing groundbreaking there. Ultimately, I think it's going to be what we kind of predicted from the moment we started talking about stealth, is kind of, all right, what are we doing to save weight in the structures and ultimately move it around and make it more forgiving? So it's going to be everything you got with stealth, and then just, maybe more forgiving. And that's just a little guess on top of faster, because it has to be faster, but
can't be slower.
But it still ultimately boils down to Stealth 2.0, whatever it's called. Stealth 2.0 is how I see
it's
it
a
right
sophomore
now.
release. Yeah, it's
how I see it right now. Whereas I think, and again, it's a little box we're dealing with here. Nobody's going to do anything radically different. It's still going to look like a driver. I don't think we're going to see anything square come back. Just as I wasn't shocked when Titleist didn't re-release a triangular driver when TSR came out, right? Like these.
Did they ever admit they actually made a triangle driver?
We don't talk about that. But Callaway, in so much as any company can, has an opportunity to almost reinvent the wheel and do something completely different. And if there's one advantage to the fact that they've been TSA for really 4 or 5 years now, is they have an opportunity to do something that is not that same old stuff, and do something that's like, hey, this is maybe not only different from Callaway, but potentially different from anything else, whatever bell whistle feature it is. Just something new and exciting that makes me actually want to take a deeper look at Callaway and go, okay, I got it. Yeah, I got it the last time you did it, and the time before that, and the year before that too. So I think Callaway has the potential right now.
Yeah, and in a sense, I think they have to, because, I mean, not from a dollars and cents standpoint. I mean, it's going to be a $4 billion.
I mean, it's not like
company.
Rogue was a flop.
No,
but
Rogue was really, really good. It was one of those ones that I think grew, for me personally, it grew on me over time a little bit. The little bit that I dabbled with it, I never actually got fit for it or anything. But seeing other people, listening to other people, obviously, it did well. But it ignores the fact that, like, based on what I've heard, Cobra is going to have. I really like some things that Cobra is working on. It's a new story, or a different way of telling a new story with a performance attribute to it, where you're going to stop and go, okay, I need to listen to this. All right, I need to at least stop and take a little bit deeper look at what's going on here. We typically see from Cobra something like that, right? Where, you had the CNC milled face, right? You had kind of that invisible pool kind of top line component to it. There were performance things, and you can agree, disagree with validity or how they went about certain things, or the sound of certain drivers in the past.
Definitely disagreed with the sound.
Certainly
didn't agree with me.
But if we look at our most wanted testing, it's hard to ignore the fact that they've consistently performed really, 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 really well in metalwoods category. And what they're talking about now for this year is like, that's compelling. I want to see if that, if there's legs to it. So I'm personally pretty excited for, like I said, the Cobra stuff for that reason. Callaway, because I think they do have a tremendous opportunity. Titleist to see, well, can they maintain or sustain some of the early success of TSR? TaylorMade, like I said, how do they 2.0, stealth, what do they do from there? And then obviously with Ping, like I said, kind of talking about things in a little bit different way that we haven't necessarily heard him talk before. I think there's real reasons to be excited, kind of for each of those.
Well, and it is one of those years where everything aligns. Where TaylorMade's going to put a new driver on the market every year. Callaway's going to do that. Cobra seems to be in that camp, but you also have Ping new stuff. TSR, it's been out a few months, but effectively it's coming out roughly the same time as everything else. So
we'll test it against everything.
That's your big five. I think we can assume Mizuno will have new metalwoods if you want to go kind of into that. Kind of that next tier of based on company size, not performance, mind you, but in terms of the scale of the company.
Right.
Tour-Edge even has had in the exotics line some really good stuff.
Srixon
has new stuff coming. You're not going to hear me talk up the Tour-Edge hot lunch, but
no,
the exotic stuff, there's potential there, especially at a value price. And the unknown for me, because at this point, who knows what the hell they're doing. But we have the new super cheap 0211 from PXG, and do we see a Gen 6 early, or does that ride for another year? Or and I mean, granted, it's only November, so PXG may not even have that answer yet. They may have decided and then undecided and redecided, and so who knows? But that's I mean, it's a good year for drivers. It is one of those ones where everything just lines.
It's kind of lining up. Yeah, it's kind of lining up.
I would not. I don't think I would buy a new driver before March.
Yeah, I would. I mean,
let
with
me
all the
see
new stuff.
everything. Let me see everything. Let me go make sure all of these options are available when I go get fitted. If hopefully you are going to go get fitted, because boy, that's a lot of money to spend on something that may not be right for you. But yeah, it's a good year.
I would.
Good year coming.
Big year coming. Any big question marks for you in 2023? Like, do you have any questions where you're going, I'm kind of, maybe on the fence about something? But the reason I'm asking the question is question for me is when's the last time we saw some concept stuff from Titleist?
It's been a while. I mean, it's all supply chain COVID, right? Or maybe they decided to run its course.
Yeah, I don't
literally. I do know there is some stuff coming from Titleist, but it's not concept.
Right. The stuff that we know about isn't that, and that's kind of what got me thinking about that in that space. You mentioned PXG.
It's an existing concept, not a new concept.
Yeah, we think of that Uber, niche kind of space. I was looking at some Japanese stuff over the weekend a little bit and kind of thinking, I haven't really heard.
The mysteries for me, I haven't heard anything. And, we joke they've not been the best about getting back to me about such things of late, but
right.
I don't know if Callaway is going to replace ChromeSoft again.
Okay.
The calendar, I mean, they did releases 2 years in a row, but I think now they kind of where they want to be in terms of what they're putting into the ball, the precision technology and things like that. So I think that's probably going to be a full 2-year cycle, not positive. We've talked about left dash, left dot, what's Titleist going to do there. And then the other one we haven't talked about too much in the golf ball space is TaylorMade. So the calendar says this is going to be a new TP5, TP5X year.
It does.
We're going out there and it hasn't been talked about yet because to my knowledge, they haven't done much with it publicly. Mm-hmm. But as you know, I don't know how many listeners know this, but the Kingdom, TaylorMade's fitting facility, on-campus fitting facility, was closed down for a bit of time last year, and a lot of that was to do with renovations, upgrades they're making specifically for their golf ball business. So some enhanced testing capabilities on the range, stuff that I'm told nobody else has. So I think not only are we going to see, and not that TaylorMade hasn't kind of emphasized the ball at all, but in a year or two of the Stealth franchise, and they're not going to put the driver off to the wayside for sure, but I think you will see a bigger emphasis on the golf ball from TaylorMade than probably ever before. So that to me is really intriguing as well. Like, hey, what have we done? And again, we've talked about TP5, TP5X, and some of the things that, in our opinion, TaylorMade did wrong from a design perspective there. So I assume, right, this with the current prop that kind of brought the balls like this, I think, we're going to separate them more this time around. So
yeah, and there's the manufacturing part to talk about that as well, right? Where TaylorMade has invested capital, right, and money in.
They own a factory. They I don't know how to properly describe the relationship they have with Foremost, but they have a significant chunk of dedicated production there, as well as the Nassau factory they bought a couple of years ago now, or at least a year and a half. I don't know.
Yeah, but point is,
very serious about the ball business.
The point is, right, that when we do our ball testing and we see that, and we're not talking performance, talking about manufacturing consistency, that the companies that tend to do the best have some type of vertical integration, right? Some type of ability to control either every step in the process, most steps in the process, a lot of the steps in the process, and certainly owning or having an equity stake, or again, whatever terminology you're going to put it, that TaylorMade has taken steps to find ways to more consistently manage the steps in that process. So you would think that would be a point of emphasis moving forward.
I would hope so.
Question mark. Maybe.
TBD.
Maybe not. TBD. Anything else, Tony, you're excited about, looking forward to? Question marks? Like, man, I don't know what's going to happen with.
Yeah, I mean, we covered it, right? So
I think so.
These little things like, is Bridgestone going to release new clubs? We haven't seen that in a while. Some stuff pops up on the USGA list every now and again.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It won't be huge. I mean, that's the beauty of the golf industry is, for better or worse, there are very few surprises. There's very little that you didn't see coming or that was kind of out of left field.
Yes.
So it's just like, hey, what have we actually done with the improvements we've made? Is this exciting? Is it better, or is it just a different story?
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I mean, on the club side, the biggest curiosity is certainly with Callaway, and then on the ball side, it's TaylorMade.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dash left out now.
Well, of course. Yeah, and we'll see. Like I guess the other thing I'm excited about is what we don't know. Like I said, there's generally speaking, there's not a whole lot. We don't get a ton of things we're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that was coming. But on occasion, we do something that's interesting that pops up. They're like, oh, okay, didn't see that one coming. And it's kind of that you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes it's a Bruce Sizemore wedge, and you're like, good Lord.
Here we go. Yeah.
There's a reason. We didn't want to know what we didn't know. It's like, okay, not all surprises are good surprises.
That's right.
But sometimes there's something else. A limited edition release, something cool, something different.
But even like the limited edition stuff has almost become predictable. Like, oh, here's our Stars and Stripes golf ball, and hey, it's
right.
Oh, look, it's almost time for the Masters, so here's some limited edition Augusta themed green crap. Like, it's all. I mean, there's a formula. Everybody knows the formula.
Everybody knows the formula. Tony, maybe something will happen in 2023 that neither you nor I saw coming. It's possible.
It is possible.
It's possible. I'm holding out hope. What did we ask people to do today? Make sure you like, subscribe. Tell us your nastiest story. What you found in that golf bag.
Give us your ham sandwich story.
Give us a ham sandwich story. And if you have any requests for topics, ideas, things you want us to cover, look at, let us know. Post your ideas below in the comments. We're always happy to hear from you, most of you. And until next week, we're out.